Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the ImaginAdventures Podcast. This is Mahina. I am your host for the day. How are you all doing? I hope you're good. I'm good. Living the dream. I hope you are too. And if not, drop me a message. We're going to make that happen for you too. So today, this week, I would like to talk about something slightly different as well. I normally talk a lot about manifestation. Now, if you don't know me yet, I am a quantum manifestation coach, but I'm also a writing and a self-publishing coach. And my main program is all about writing and publishing your first book within just 90 days. It is a dream that a lot of people have, writing your first book, having your own book, holding it in your hand, being able to share your story, your knowledge, your expertise, your adventures with the rest of the world, knowing that your words are going to reach at least one person around the world, knowing that somebody else will relate to what you've experienced, to what you've gone through, knowing that your book is going to be able to help someone either going through a crisis or to help because it gives advice to people on a particular topic or issue, and knowing that you're making a difference, basically. A book is also such a great way to, if you have your own business, for example, to grow your audience, to reach more people, and to be more credible, to be more accountable. People have other ways to get to know more about you. They can now read your book. They can now find you on Amazon, for example, and they get to know you more. So when they become your client, when they work with you, they have a different sense of who you are, and they feel closer to you. And in today's world, this is so important. People don't want to just have a product or a service. They want to have that real connection with the people that they're working with. So a book is a wonderful way to do that. And so I've also been getting a lot of questions about book writing and self-publishing. So today I would like to address one, maybe two if I have time, we'll see. But basically, one very interesting question is, so should I start with fiction or non-fiction? I've always dreamed of writing fiction, but I would also like to tell my story. So this is a very, very interesting question. For many different reasons. So what I would say is, because I have personally written both, so just so you know, I will just summarize quickly that I've written 9 books in 7 months, and I've now written and published my 10th book. So I've written many different genres. I've written children's books, I've illustrated some of these books, I've written them in English and French, and bilingual. I've worked with someone on a book called Foxy's Wild Adventures, and so I've worked with a real photographer on that, and then I've written a young adult fiction book called Iselle the Black Panther, which has, I would say, kind of a Lion King aura, but it's all about the birth of the first black jaguar in the Amazon. And she goes through a whole bunch of adventures, including being captured and put in a zoo, and then being released. And she develops a very close relationship with a young boy. And basically, she becomes a beacon of hope for the animals of the rainforest. So that was a young adult fiction book. And then I've written about my own personal adventures, because I've traveled around the world a lot as a wildlife journalist. So I wrote a book called Wild Adventures, which is all about that. And then I've written a book called Manifesting, which is all about the manifestation process. and is literally, to me, is the guide that I wish I had when I began to be more interested in the manifestation process. So it is a step-by-step guide, and it includes everything that I personally has helped me over the years manifest every single one of my dreams, one after the other. And the last book that I've written, or that I wrote, was it's called How to Write and Publish Your First Book in 90 Days. So for those of you who want to begin by checking out that book, you can definitely go for it. It is available on Amazon. Now, this book is actually part of a program that I do with my clients, and we write and publish your first book in 90 days. I'm here to help you every step of the way, because I have learned the hard way something that I want ideally newbie or new authors to not have to go through the same mistake that I did, and to not waste as much time on that. But I began personally with children's fiction, and then I had my young adult fiction book, which I had actually started 10 years previously. But the books that I personally found were flowing more easily and were much easier to write were about my story, my adventures, and about manifesting. So obviously it will differ for everyone. Everyone is different. However, normally I work with clients, and when we do the program to write and publish your first book in 90 days, it is usually a non-fiction book. It is usually a book that is about your story, and that is about your expertise. Sometimes it can be a recipe book, or it can be, let's say you are in the health industry, so it's about your transformational journey, or it is about your a guide to wellness or something. So it is listing your expertise. It is a very easy way to begin to write a book that is really interesting to you, to your client, to your readers, and that is another way for your readers to find you and connect with you. So I personally would always recommend starting with this, because it gives you more confidence as you write and publish that first book, which is going to be a faster process. It's not going to take as much time to write a very good book about your story, because it is already within you. The story is sitting there and it's just waiting to come out. So I'm here to help you have that come out in the most organized way. I also work with quantum frequencies, and so we work on a very specific program. You can learn more about that program on my website. The link is in the description. But basically, it is a very interesting process, and a very, believe it or not, easy process to go through, especially when I'm here to help you, or if you read a book to help you, or even on your own. So normally we can do that in 3 months, absolutely no problem. And with the clients that I've worked with so far, and that I'm working with at the moment, this is what's happening. However, when I work with clients on a fiction book, I always recommend that we take a lot longer. So my 12 weeks program becomes a 24-week program. And if you read my book, I would say you can use 2 weeks per step rather than 1 week per step. This is all in the book anyway, and also because fiction takes a lot more work, but in a different type of work. You need to research the plot, your genre, the characters building, and build up your story in a very different way. You also need to focus on vocabulary and different ways of saying the same things. So it is slightly different, and the writing process in itself is going to be taking a lot more time than it would with a non-fiction book. Just so you know, when you work with me or when you read my book, we focus on the planning and the organization part of the book, because what I found is when I published my first book, I would be doing a lot of work at the end that could have been avoided if I had done it at the beginning. So I've come up with a process that helps people not have to go through the whole thing at the end, and be able to literally dive into the writing being fully prepared. So that's pretty good, and that's another way that it really helps people focus and go with the flow, and slowly, deeply, and more naturally dive into the writing part of it. And then obviously it's all about writing the book. I'm here when you work with me. I will proofread your book as part of the program for free as a bonus. But also, if you come across procrastination or the writer's block, I've given you a few tips and examples in my book. But it is something that we all struggle with, that I personally struggled with a lot, and that I think it's a shame, because it is it's one of the reasons why a lot of people have not been publishing books, when in fact their books is either sitting there ready to be published, or the ideas are overflowing, and it's all a matter of putting it on paper. And so many people find that step very difficult. And I know that for one of my books that was the case for me, but having overcome these obstacles personally, on a personal level, means that I am able to offer my advice and expertise to help you overcome that in the most efficient, quick, and natural way possible. And then obviously this is not what it's all about. When you write and publish your first and your own book, especially with self-publishing. We talk a lot about self-publishing, vanity publishers, and traditional publishers. Nothing will ever stop you from finding a publisher if that's what you want, but it doesn't mean that you don't have to, or you can't self-publish first. Quite the contrary. Nothing can stop you from self-publishing. You should definitely go for it. So many people self-publish today, and it is actually easy in a way to write a very good self-published book. You just need to go through a few different processes to make sure that your manuscript is as good as it can be. All of these processes are listed in my book, and I also help you go through that. You need to self-edit your book and design your book, and obviously make sure that it is the best book that it can be, which you will be able to do. There's nothing stopping you from doing that. And so don't let any doubt and fear stop you from doing that. And then when you work with me, or as part of this whole process, you would need to obviously become familiarize yourself with the process of becoming an author. You are now an author, so there are a few things that you need to know, and then you will need to design, publish, and market your book, because that's all part of the whole process. However, when you begin to write, when you choose what you want to write about, it's quite interesting to ask yourself questions. So, for example, what today, if you were to talk to someone about a story that you have in mind, what is it? Which one would come first? Will it be your fiction story, or would it be your story about yourself? If you talk to someone that is asking about your life, what would you tell them first? What is it that has changed your life? What was the catalyst in your life? If somebody was asking you about a great idea that you have, what idea is that? If you are talking to someone about your fiction book, how do you talk about it? Like, if you record yourself, or if you talk to someone about it, how is it flowing? Do you have the whole story in mind, the whole plot in mind? Is it all there, waiting to be written? Is it already written? Or do you feel like you're going to have to go through a whole bunch of stuff? It's absolutely fine to take a whole year or 2 years or more to write a fiction book. Absolutely fine. There is no pressure. It is absolutely up to you how long you take to write the book. But if you do want to have that dream come true and just at least achieve one of these dreams, which is to write and publish your first book now, this year, let's say in 2022, then definitely have a think. Like, which one do you feel more drawn to? You know the answer. It's something I really like to say to my clients and to people in general, is if you take a coin and you say, okay, so this side is going to be fiction, this side is non-fiction, and you flip it, before you even see what the coin's face will show, you know the answer. You know what you actually really want deep down. So you can also have a play with that. Just flip a coin, and without looking at it, before you look at it, just see, okay, so fiction or non-fiction, flip the coin and the answer is going to come to you. And then if you're still not sure, just grab a piece of paper and write down the ideas that you have for fiction, non-fiction, and what you could do is add stars as to how comfortable you feel about writing about that. So, for example, about your story, or about your business, or about your expertise, or about your trauma, or about that first fiction book idea, or that second fiction book ideas. And then next to that, put 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 stars to see how comfortable or how excited or how easy does it seem to you. And then that might really help you get a good idea as to where to begin. So there you go. Again, just know that you always have a 1-hour free conversation with me. So please feel free to go on my website, www.mahinaperrot.com, or www.ImaginAdventures.com. Or you can find me on my or on Facebook, or on my private Facebook group called Imagine Adventures, where dreams become reality. Just send me a message, book a free call, and we can have a chat about your book idea, and I can probably help you define what you should be starting with, and that's going to be a very exciting beginning of a brand new journey for you. So there you go, everybody. I wish you a beautiful day, and I hope you enjoyed this podcast. Again, don't hesitate if you have any questions, and I wish you a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful day or evening wherever you are in the world. Bye, everybody. Bye. See you later.